Fall, people love fall. It's my favorite season. People that love fall, they go crazy for the foliage. They're like, oh, the foliage! Let's drive by the foliage! It's so beautiful the way the leaves die. They're so pretty right before they fall to their death. We think it's beautiful. It's the leaves' hospice. It also helps that the leaves can't talk. If they could talk, they'd be like, ah! Give me chlorophyll! Why are these people driving by and smiling at me? We're rather insensitive to the leaves' tragedy. They die, they fall to the ground, we just rake them up. Kids, you want to jump on this pile of dead leaves? No? All right, I'll just light them on fire.
Good morning. It's 8 minutes after 6 o'clock. I'm Don Rosen. Thanks for joining us here at WRJN. Hometown radio refreshed at 1400 AM, 99.9 FM, and Racine 98.1 FM in Kenosha.
Our cheeks are nice and rosy and comfy and cozy always. We're snuggled up to
Looking for some beautiful weather. Sunny with a high near 35. Cloudy tonight. Lows around 29. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 40. Now, I did see the forecast for Christmas. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is, because I know they're not going to get it right a week in advance. I went to the Dells this past weekend for our Christmas party, and they kept saying it's going to be sunny, 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 sunny. And it was pouring rain the entire time, so I'm not going to give you the Christmas one. I'll give you a hint. Chance of rain. How's that? No snow, though. We're going to talk with Sergeant Kristi Wilcox of the Racine Police Department right now. And we're going to talk about how to secure yourself for the holidays, how to be safe. And it's not like there's a crime spree going out there. It's just that, things happen and you don't want to be a victim. And Sergeant Kristi Wilcox is going to help us with that. First of all, thanks for joining us this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Thanks for having me.
You don't do one of these early shifts, do you?
No, not anymore.
Oh, but you did.
I used to, yep, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.
People say, oh, you must be a morning person. No, I don't like getting up at 4:30 in the morning. What are you, crazy? There are opossums running around my backyard at 4:30 in the morning. One day we turn on the lights and I see these two jewels looking back at me. The possum was sitting on the fence staring at me. And I said, who makes the first move?
Right.
It was like 4:30. I was taking out some garbage and he's just staring at me. I see the two jewel eyes. You can't see him, just the eyeballs
Right.
from the light following me. Is this a different time of year for people to be extra careful, or is it just a regular time and we're just more cognizant of it? Because we get more packages this time of year.
Correct. With more packages, I think you should be a little more cognizant. Thefts of packages happen year-round, but because there's more of them, I think they're out looking for the packages.
You know what? Here's the thing that gets me. It used to be when you got a UPS package or a FedEx, you had to sign for it. They knocked at your door, and you had to sign for the package. Even the post office made you sign. Now they just throw it from their cars on your porch and hope for the best.
Correct.
When did that all change?
I'm not really sure. I don't know if you can make an option to have all your packages signed for. That would be something that would
But it wasn't an option. They used to get a
Correct.
note on your door, stop by the post office, pick up your package.
Correct.
Or if FedEx was here, call us, we'll deliver your package. No more. It's just laying there. And if you have like a ring system on there, it could tell when someone's on your porch, but they
Yes.
don't come on the porch a lot of times. They'll do it from the sidewalk, and they'll just like push it on there so the camera doesn't get a chance to tell you they're there.
Correct. I know some is motion activated.
Yeah, they are motion. Yeah,
So
but you
I
got to
don't know.
be there.
Correct.
Now, if you turn it up all the way, every time someone walks past your house, it's going to go off, and that's going to
Correct.
drive you nuts all night long.
Yes.
So Yeah. Let's talk a little about you before we get started here. How long have you been with Racine Police Department?
Over 23 years.
23 years. When did you start? When you were like 12?
Not quite. I was actually a late bloomer.
Why would you go to the police department? Why that jump? Now, I know, and we've talked before we went on the air, I know a lot of people in the police department. Why would you do that?
At the time, I wanted to help people. My background was in forensic science.
Okay.
At that time, trying to get a job in forensic science, they wanted you to have a master's degree. And I was done with school at the time, and I just wanted a job. So
you would be like, I told you I watch all these police shows, Forensic Files. I watch. I had the creator of that show on the air with me once, and he was telling me how it got started. And they solve the crimes now through DNA. It's so easy to solve a crime these days because there's DNA, and DNA doesn't lie.
Nope.
You can't dispute it. It is or it's not. Is that what you were going to do?
yes. No, I mean, there's different aspects of forensics. The DNA at the time was very complicated. It's still complicated, but I think they've figured it out. It's a lot more streamlined than it was back in the 90s when I was in school. But yeah, I mean, it's fingerprints, it's ballistics, which is your bullets and how to compare casings and spent cartridges.
It's so difficult to not get caught these days. They got your cell phones. They can track your phones through pinging on towers.
Correct.
Your car's got GPS in it, even though you don't know it. It's in the engine on some cars. It's so hard to get away with things these days, especially when they do the forensic stuff. As long as you brought that up, what takes so long? When the police give a DNA swab, they say, well, now we got to wait. And they got to wait a couple of weeks. Is it just a backlog of stuff, or does it take a long time to get the DNA profile?
Well, some of it is a backlog Milwaukee Crime Lab, I can speak from the medical examiner side. They deal with a lot of jurisdictions just dealing with their cases. So I'm assuming the crime lab is the same way. And their backlog is, I'm sure, ridiculous. But the testing does take hours at a time, and they run it through different types of machines that sometimes you have to let it go overnight. It takes that long to process some of the tests.
You know what I think they're going to have one day? You ever see those? It's like a radar gun, I guess.
Yeah.
You would aim it at the DNA, and it'll give you the DNA profile right on the screen. That's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. Because 20 years ago, they couldn't even do what they're doing today.
Correct. Yeah, there's been a lot of advancements.
And I think the best way is these genealogy people who figure out who the perpetrator is. I mean, that's just amazing how... Just give us a little information, and we will tell you what the person looks like. We will tell you who it is. They had this genealogy person on ABC for a while. It was called The Genetic Detective or something like that. And she was really good at this. But it takes a while because they have to check obituaries and everything. But they'll get that genealogy, that ancestry, right down to like one or two people.
Yes.
And they say, we know who they are. There's two brothers here.
Yep.
One of those two brothers. And that's it. It's the brother with green eyes. I mean, it's so hard to get away with a crime. I watch all these Dateline shows. No. Now, they don't always get the person. My sister-in-law was murdered and in Chicago in the 70s. And my wife, a couple of years ago, saw online the Chicago PD posted something, and it said, cold case, still looking for the murderer of Dale Rosen. And it listed all the information. They just never caught the murderer. She was murdered, and that was the end of that. And that was in 74 or 75, around there. So I guess, some slipped through the cracks. But that's before they had DNA and everything else.
Correct.
And they probably never thought of getting a DNA swab back then.
Probably not.
But they're still looking for the murderer. But, the 70s, chances are they're in an old age home or they're dead, So it takes a while to find people. So this is the line of work you've chosen as Michael Corleone said, this is the business we've chosen.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have a family? Do they have a problem with this line of work?
They have just kind of gone through it with me. It's been ups and downs over the years, but they just kind of deal with it with me.
Now, that's good. Now, the Racine Police Department has a lot of programs to help people. They don't just sit there and write tickets, although when I come down 16th Street and I'm going 30 and they're buzzing around me at 40, 45, I wish I had a light on my car to make a citizen's arrest like on Andy Griffith when Gomer made a citizen's arrest on Barney. That's, I just want to pull them over and say citizen's arrest.
Yep.
Tell us about some of the other programs. You have the community Policing, right?
Yep, our community-oriented policing unit. It's comprised of 6 houses throughout the city. Each is staffed with an officer. Each officer out of those houses has programs that they conduct within their house, within their neighborhoods. It could be free meals, could be game night. One of our houses, he has haircuts twice a year, free haircuts where local barbers come in, and it's supported by educators in Andis. They're big supporters of it. Free haircuts for the community. You just have to sign up. Free grocery giveaway. That's every third Thursday of the month out of the Anthony Street COP house. Let's see, what else? Different like school drives we've had out of the houses. So it's a big program throughout the city that I think is helpful to a lot of the community.
That's good. And one of the biggest things people can do is lock their cars to be safe. Let's talk about some of these safe things again. Lock your cars. Now, you don't have to go overboard like I do. Beep it, go in your house, run back on, try the door again, go back in the house, beep it, run back out, try the door again.
Right.
I'm one of the guys who checks the stove for 5 minutes before I leave the house. We have a comedy bit on that coming up.
Not a horrible thing.
I know, but it's annoying to people around you, especially when, let's go already, when I'm checking the stove, and then I take a picture of it. When I check the car when I get into the parking lot, I pull the door, I stare at the car, I pull the door again, I beep it again. Who's going to
make sure your things work, right?
Yeah, come on. I'm a little OCD on this stuff. Lock your vehicles, and you'd be surprised how many people don't do that.
Correct.
They just jump out of their car, and it's so easy. Beep, beep. I mean, you can't make it any easier than that. We're going to talk about, in just a moment here, we're going to talk about some of the ways you can keep your house safe, especially at Christmas time when they leave their windows open to see their Christmas tree.
Correct.
I can't believe people leave their windows open to their house. We seal ourselves in like we're in a tin can. But people, and I drive by the neighborhood, I could see everybody in their living room. That's, it's nice at Christmas time, but it's kind of dangerous too. We'll talk about that. Sgt Kristi Wilcox, Racine Police is here, and we're talking about your safety, some other things as well. And keep it right here. It's 18 minutes after 6 o'clock at WRJN. We're looking for sunshine today with a high near 35. Cloudy tonight, lows around 29. Sunshine again tomorrow with a high near 40. Right now it's 16 degrees and clear. I can't wait for that 40. I moved to Wisconsin, and then I get upset when it's 16 degrees. That's why my daughter moved to Florida. More coming up here at WRJN. Don't move.
I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus underneath the mistletoe last night. She didn't see me creep down the stairs to have a peek. She thought that I was tucked up in my bedroom fast asleep. Then I saw mommy tickle Santa Claus underneath his beard so snowy white. Oh, what a laugh it would have been if Daddy had seen mommy kissing Santa Claus last night.
I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus. 621 at WRJN. Sgt Kristi Wilcox from the Racine Police Department is here. Okay, let's get serious about some things here, especially at Christmas time. People, we were talking about leaving their windows open and with the presents under the tree, and you get some nasty people out there. Most people aren't, but you get an occasional nasty person who will say, I see presents. I'll come back when they're sleeping. They tell you don't put the presents under the tree unless you have the windows closed or on Christmas, Eve and stuff. But I drive through my neighborhood. My neighbor across the street from me has this big screen TV. I can set a chair on his front lawn and watch the television.
Yeah.
I don't do that, but pretty safe to close your windows at night, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, that would be ideal. because then people can't peep in your house.
Now, ordering online, there are several ways to keep packages from coming in your doorstep. I think Amazon's got a great way. They have these lockers
Yes.
all over town.
Yeah,
Well,
they've got hubs somewhere.
Yeah, well, you just go to the locker, pick up your package. If you're not going to be home all day
Correct.
and you don't have a barking dog to scare people,
Correct.
or you have a beagle like me who didn't bark in 13 years, and you come home and all these packages are sitting there, and it's amazing they didn't get stolen because
Correct.
it's even people that aren't thieves for the most see a package, they'll lift it.
Yeah, and people take your stuff in broad daylight these days. Sometimes they don't wait till it's dark out.
And they'll do it right in front of a Ring camera.
Correct.
I mean, you got the camera right there, and they don't care.
No.
You ever catch those people?
Yeah, sometimes we have. We actually just had a successful one a couple weeks ago, maybe last week.
Let's see what else they have. What else can you do to prevent packages being stolen? I like that name, Porch Pirates. I mean, it's pretty descriptive.
You could leave certain instructions to have it left somewhere else so it's visible. You could have it maybe left at a back door where it's not as visible to everybody. Maybe a neighbor who you know is home or somebody else that you know is home during the day, have it delivered there. If you can maybe have it delivered to your job, that's an option. Then it gets delivered during the day while you're there, and you can just take it from there. I don't know if that's possible for everybody, but another option.
Yeah, you can have it delivered at work. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about this? You leave directions. Stand in front of the pine tree. Take 20 paces straight, 2 steps to the left. You will see a wagon. Under the wagon, you'll see instructions on where.
That might be a little too much.
Let's see if it gets there.
It's
or
hard to
not.
find that good of help these days, I think.
Now, here's something I think all people should do. I don't do it. Turn on your porch lights at night.
Turn on the porch light.
Thieves do not like light.
No.
They're like cockroaches.
Correct.
They scatter when there's
And
light.
motion sensor lights for the side or your back of the
Yeah.
house. Your back of the house, yeah.
Well, we have motion detectors in our backyard, the lights, and I don't know what happens, but like at midnight, every critter in the world comes out, and they start walking the fence line, walking your yard, because when it snows, we see where do these footprints come from? There's thousands of footprints all over the yard from these
Right.
animals, and then in the day, you never see them.
No.
But they're out at night. It's like a zoo in my
Right.
backyard. Let's see what else we got here for you. We don't leave the visible packages under the Christmas tree.
Correct.
That's a good idea. If dogs bark in the middle of the night, don't say, be quiet.
Right.
They bark for a reason.
They do bark for a reason. Yeah.
Except my dog that didn't bark. I couldn't even get him to bark. He did bark in his sleep, though. We go, whoo, 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 whoo. You hear that in his sleep.
Dreaming good dreams.
And the feet are going 100
Yes.
miles an hour. I don't know. Probably dreamt he got a possum in the backyard. Doors and windows locked. Now, I don't know if they call them Charlie bars anymore, but we put dowlings in the
Dowels,
windows.
yep.
Dowels in the window. And the thing is, they can't get the lock open. But what if? So it's just another line of defense.
Correct. Yeah, if you don't want, I mean, sometimes they have those so little alarms for each window, but
Yeah.
I think you have to alarm each window.
But we do.
Yeah. So the dowels is a good idea because then they can't open.
Yeah, we have the alarm on each window so when it lifts up and,
Yep.
the sirens go off. What else do we have here? Set your tree lights on a timer.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be out of town. It's suggested put them on a timer so then they think somebody's home if the tree lights are on.
You know what people do all the time, and I know why they do it. I don't think it's a good idea. All their travel plans are listed on Facebook. I'm going away at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'll be catching a flight at 4 o'clock. I won't be back for a week. At that time, I'll be back at 8 p.m. The house will be empty. The doors are locked, but there's an open garage door. In the back. They put all their travel stuff online.
Yes.
I don't know why I have never done that, but people do it all the time.
All the
So
time.
the thieves are looking, oh, good, I'll just print this out. Where is this now? And they're just giving you the word that this house will be empty.
Correct.
I don't want to date myself or anything here, but back in the early 60s when we used to go on vacation, I lived on Long Island, and we never locked the back door by the garage. We never locked the back door to the house because my mother thought, well, if somebody has to get in. Well, who has to get in? Well, if we have a neighbor that has to get in and do something. I said, they never locked it. We used to go away for 2 weeks at a time. And there were no cell phones. I mean, you can check up on your house. When you left, and that was it. You hoped your house was going to be there.
Right.
In all the years they lived there, they never locked that back garage door. And they lived there from 1955 to 2000.
Wow. But they didn't have any problems doing that, did they?
Neighbors did. Neighbors had houses. We had houses broken into. Not a lot, but we had some broken into. They just never did. They were very trusting people, and they lucked out. They were on the good side. But you got to lock the doors.
Right.
And, even I like combination locks. Because key lock, you can pick a lock with a key.
Sure.
But you can't pick a combination lock.
Correct.
I mean, you can be lucky on the, out of 1 trillion combinations, I guess you can hit it 4 digits on the first one. But, especially going away during the holiday season. So you say leave a light on in the house on a timer.
Yes.
And leave the porch light on. But
Yes.
if the porch light's on during the daytime, does that give a clue to somebody? I mean, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to think they think they're home.
But you can set that on a timer, too.
Oh, you can?
Sure.
Oh, well, look at this. It's a learning experience for me. How about the people the spare key under the mat? Yeah, nobody's ever thought of that before.
No.
Why do people do these things? I mean, or there's a note, spare key with an arrow going.
Right.
Here's the spare. And people do that. I know it sounds ludicrous, but people do this kind of stuff. Sgt Kristi Wilcox, Racine Police Department is here. We're going to talk about more safety for the holiday season and your cars and so forth. I know my wife puts a club on the car now. She's got a Kia, and she puts the club on the car, but it's a good safety device. I know the Racine Police were handing them out for a while.
Yeah, we still might have some. I never.
Yeah.
When the second round came, we never.
Oh, you don't have to shut up right away.
Oh,
It's 29 minutes after 6 at WRJN. Beach Boys connection to the Manson murders?
I did not.
You didn't hear that? It's interesting story. It involves Doris Day's son. Doris Day, the actress and singer.
Yeah.
What happened was Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys somehow became friends with Charles Manson. And Charles Manson wanted to get into rock and roll. So he wrote a song and the Beach Boys turned it down. And he introduced him to, I forget Doris Day's son's name. His last name starts with Melcher. I can't think of his first name. His last name was Melcher. And he said, I can't do anything with this guy. He can't sing. He can't do anything. So Manson was all upset about it until he heard the Beach Boys on the Mike Douglas show sing his song. The one that Charles Manson wrote. The Beach Boys actually sang it. And he said, Dennis Wilson said, we're not going to do anything with it. They changed the lyrics around a little bit. And Charles went nuts, Charlie Manson. And that started the whole thing. He went to that house where Melcher lived. And that's how the whole thing happened. It involved Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. And isn't that a great story? I mean, that's how the whole thing happened. He got mad at the Beach Boys. He got mad at everybody who wasn't going to make him a rock and roll star, including Melcher, Terry Melcher. Terry Melcher was Doris Day's son. And he got angry, and that's where Terry Melcher lived, at that house. But he didn't know that Terry Melcher left, and Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski took over the house again.
Oh, wow.
He didn't know that, but he went there, didn't know. He never showed up. He showed up there, but he wasn't there during the murders. And he sent people to get them, because he thought Terry Melcher still lived there. And when he heard the Beach Boys singing his song on the Mike Douglas show, with the lyrics changed a little bit, he went berserk. And I know.
Someone you don't want to make mad. Holy cow.
Well, now I don't care. He's dead. But, he thought he was going to be the next Beatles, the next rock and roll star. And we know how it all turned out. You ever
Yes.
see that movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
With Leonardo DiCaprio
Right.
and Brad Pitt. I'm not going to ruin the picture, but it's about the Manson murders with a special twist at the end. It's a very good movie. You should see it. Let's talk about some of the other things people can do safe-wise this time of year. And, you mentioned something on the list here that I never thought of before, but people do it all the time. Leave a ladder right there on the side of their house.
Leave a ladder.
Nice and convenient to get up to that window up there.
Correct. Because people have the ladders out for their Christmas lights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Don't necessarily think to put it back in the garage or wherever you store it. And then people don't necessarily always think about locking the second floor windows of your residence.
That's absolutely right. I never thought about it. Now, I don't have a ladder in my backyard because I would never climb a ladder. But you're absolutely right. You put a ladder in the backyard.
Yep.
I don't think we have. We don't have one in the backyard. People have burglar alarms, and they say, I'm going to be out for just about 20 minutes. I'm not going to bother setting the alarm. Yeah, what do you buy it for if you're not going to set it?
Correct.
What do you think? The burglars say, I got 20 minutes. It's not enough time to go into the house, break a window, and get stuff. We have stuff on our alarm system where if you break a window, the alarm goes off.
Right.
And
Yes, some alarm systems do have that breakage alarm.
Yeah,
That goes
so
off.
if you break it, the alarm goes off on my phone. It goes off. You can hear it everywhere. It's a loud screeching noise.
Yep.
Let's see. We talked about the boxes. Don't leave them under the tree with your window open. Not a good idea. These are all the safety issues for the holidays. But once the holidays are over, people still break into homes. They don't just work Christmas time.
Correct. Yeah, these are good practices to keep thinking about year round, especially at Christmas time, but year round, because you're right. People are going to look to see, especially after the holidays. Well, what did they get? They're going to have new TVs or they're going to have new stuff in the house.
Another thing. They put the boxes for the new TV out for the garbage bird. You get all these boxes out there. Oh, let's see. The Rosen's got a new TV. They got a new computer. Oh, thanks for the update.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put but I guess you cut them up into small pieces, put them in the recycling bin.
Right.
But they put the boxes out there that shows the brand new TV they got. Oh,
It's good advertisement.
That is. It's a good ad. Now, what do you do? And I don't know if you have an answer to this. What if you're sleeping and someone's in the house? What do you? And we don't. People don't. And everybody's got a gun in their house to protect themselves. What do you do?
Well, you call 911 right away and hide. Some people hide in the closet. Some people lock themselves in the bathroom, and they'll call us from there.
I watch Dateline. You ever watch Dateline?
Oh, yeah.
If you watch Dateline, you would never leave the house as long as you live. Never make friends, never talk to anybody. You'd lock yourself in the closet and live there permanently. It happens where people are in the house.
It does.
And the person who was sleeping gets and confronts them. I would call 911. The worst thing that can happen is the cops show up and you say, oh, it was a mistake. My son came in late, and that's
Correct.
it. That's the worst thing. You interrupt some cop is having lunch at 1 o'clock in the morning, eating something, and you interrupted his food. But that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, agreed.
And so, better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
There were some other things I had on my head here before you came in today. I said, don't forget to ask. Oh, I can't say. What if you see something? If you're driving on the road and you see something suspicious, I hate to call the police on something like if you see somebody walking around somebody's house. Owners of their own home walk around. I do it all the time. I'm looking at stuff, making sure everything is in place, the garbage pails are away. Do you just ignore that kind of stuff?
No, we have a saying that says if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
So, like you said, better safe to call than not call.
Yeah. Now, talk about some of the other programs the police department might have. You go into schools, right? Because here's the thing that gets me about burglars. When I see these Dateline shows or 2020, they show this 16 or 17-year-old kid up there, and he's either robbed something or he killed somebody or he crashed into something or he's selling drugs. And I always say to myself, where were the parents when all this happened? My father would never put up with that kind of stuff. He wouldn't do it. He just, my brother and I were on the straight and narrow. He never touched it, never laid a hand on us. But we always said, what if he snaps someday?
Right.
And then we're going to feel the wrath of God come down on us. But he never did. He threatened us. He said, you two are going to see blood. I'm telling you, if you do this again, you're going to see trouble. Never touched us. But the scare was there.
Yeah.
Why don't I don't know how parents let their kids get away with this stuff. Unless they can't not all know their kids are out at 1 o'clock in the morning doing no good when they're 16 years old. I mean, how do you get to these kids? How do you get to them? I know it's tough, and you're not the mother and father and the parents of all these children in Racine, but you go into schools and help, right?
Yep, we do go into schools. We have a really good relationship with Racine Unified, especially our COP unit. They go in more often than the rest of us. They will go in and talk to students. They'll do talks. So it's good, I think, for the students to see us in the schools for everyday stuff, just so they get to know you. We have school resource officers that get around to the schools, and so a lot of the students know them and they've built a trust with the students, so the students can go up to them and if they have problems, and it's helpful. It's helpful to be in the schools that they see us in there, that not always for bad things.
Well, you know what, and I don't know what changed. And I hate to sound like, because I sound like my grandfather talking to me when I was little. But when I went to school, there was never a police officer ever stepped foot in that school. And, you know, I come from New York, and, you know, New York is. And I came from there, and we never had a police officer in there. And now when you go into schools, there's police officers stationed in the schools. I mean, I know why it has to happen. You see, so many times a year, some kid comes in with a gun and decides to take out all his frustration on everybody. When did all this happen? When did we start getting police officers in the school? Now, when you first started with the police department, were there cops in the schools?
Oh yeah, there was cops in the schools when I was in high school.
Oh really?
Yeah, so that was late 80s at Park High School.
I was there in the 70s, early 70s in high school. We never had a police officer in the school. We never had reason to. There was never any trouble.
Right.
And I'll tell you how many people were in our school. Our high school had almost 4,000 people in it. My class alone had almost 1,000.
That's a big school.
It's a big school, and
Right.
you figure you'd have some nuts in there, but no, never had a problem in my school. And now you go into a school, and there are police officers, and they even have metal detectors in some schools. And I know why you need them. I understand that, because you got nuts out there going in, and They had a case just recently where last week the mother of the kid who went in and shot his teacher, she lived.
The 6-year-old.
The 6-year-old. She was fine. She swears the gun was locked. The kid said, nope, I got it from on top of the dresser. She had it on her nightstand or whatever. And she's going to prison now.
Yep. 2 years, I think she got.
Because, first of all, she lied. And this kid got a hold of the gun, 6-year-old, and shot his teacher. Again, she lives, she's fine and everything else. But, I mean, parents have to be careful out there. Now, if you have a gun, you're supposed to take a class for it, no? Or you don't have to. Do you have to? I don't know anything about guns, so why don't you...
To have your permit for concealed carry, yes.
What if you just want a gun to keep at home in a safe just in case somebody comes in? You don't need a license? You don't need you need to register it, don't you?
You do need to register it,
Okay,
yes.
so the gun's got to be registered, but you don't need a specific license. I guess it's good to go to a gun range and learn how to use it properly.
It is, because it's good to get comfortable with it, so in case you are confronted, you want to use it if you have to. Like if someone is in your house and confronting you and threatening you, you want to be able to have the confidence enough to use the firearm. And if you're not going to, you're going to be too scared, then there's probably not a reason for you to have it.
Well, when my wife worked for the Caledonia Police Department, one of her good friends was a sergeant and lieutenant there. And I was thinking of getting my wife a gun a couple of years ago, just for protection and stuff. And I said, would you go with us to buy it? Because I know nothing about guns. He said, I will go with you. We'll go buy the gun together. We'll see what's right for her. And then I will take her to a gun range and show her how to use it properly. And I said, that's great. COVID hit. Right then, right when we were going to buy the gun, everything was closed and you couldn't get into gun range, couldn't go anywhere. You know how it was. And so we just never did it at that time. But I still think it's a good idea.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I have never held a gun. I've never fired a gun. I've never done a rifle. I don't think I've ever seen a real gun up close, nor do I want to. But she felt comfortable. But she's been with the police department, so she's been around guns.
Sure.
But I don't know, they're kind of scary to me because people get hurt.
Absolutely.
I'd rather use a baseball bat and how to swing that and hit people. But is there an uptick in people owning guns because of crime recently? I don't know.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you over your 20 some odd years, you must have seen some things. These high speed chases I want to talk about too, because they happen around here. They just went on the interstate not too long ago here. And I noticed it when I watch these high speed chase shows. I mean, they're everywhere now. Everything is a true crime channel. And I don't know when the police are supposed to chase and when not. I guess if you got somebody with a gun, you got to chase them because you don't know what they're going to do with it if they just committed the crime. But still, poor people on the roads when this happens. I mean, and sometimes innocent people
pay the price.
Yeah, and that's a shame. I love when they catch them, and I love when they get punished in court. I love that. I just say, "Yeah, you deserve." I'm screaming at the TV. My wife says, "Stop yelling at the TV." Yeah, but he just got 20 years in prison. It doesn't sound like a lot for committing a crime, 20 years in prison. But when you think what you were doing 20 years ago, that's a long time.
That is a long time.
And it's not pleasant, I heard.
I'm sure not.
I had the sheriff in Racine County take me for a tour of the prison once. I wanted to see what it was like. And you can call up. They took me for a tour. I wouldn't want to hang around that place. They were pretty undesirables. And they give you the look when you pass by.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't want that. Oof, I get the creeps thinking about it. I try to stay out of trouble. Sgt Kristi Wilcox is here from the Racine Police Department. More coming up in just a moment. 6:28, 6:49. Where did I get 28 from? 6:49. At WRJN. I shouldn't be an announcer. Sunny today with a high near 35 degrees. Cloudy tonight, lows 29. Sunshine, beautiful tomorrow with a high near 40. Clear and 16 degrees right now in Racine. Don't move.
Snow's coming down. I'm watching it fall. Lots of people around. Baby, please come home. The church bells are down. Are ringing songs. What a happy sound. Baby, please come home. They're singing deck the halls, but it's not like Christmas at all. 'Cause I remember when you were here, and all the fun we had last year. Pretty lights on the tree, I'm watching them shine. You should be here with me. Baby, please come home. They're singing deck the halls, but it's not like Christmas at all. 'Cause I remember when you were here, and all the fun we had last year. If there was a way, I'd hold back this tear. But it's Christmas Day.
You know who Phil Spector is, right? Phil Spector?
Yes.
He did the Ronettes. He did Darlene Loved It. All these songs. There was a Phil Spector wall of sound behind all these. He was a great record producer. Hit after hit after hit. His Christmas album he did with all the Crystals, the Chiffons, and all those groups was a #1 seller. And he wound up dying in prison.
Yes, he did.
He murdered his girlfriend.
Yep.
What the heck happened? How do you go from being one of the biggest record producers in the world to killing somebody? I don't know how that happens. And you see him in court, he looked like a lunatic. He had the hair out here, his face was strange looking, and I don't think he said a word in the courtroom. And I think he died in a cell in prison.
I think you're right.
I mean, how do people get themselves into these messes? I mean, you know they're going to catch you. That's what I don't understand about these criminals. you know you're going to get caught, especially these we were talking about the high-speed chases for a moment here. They're going to catch you. They're not going to let you go unless you just passed a red light, and maybe if it's going through a small town, they'll let it go. But now we got helicopters. I'm watching these high-speed chases. They can follow your car from a helicopter. You're not going to get away. You just, every mile you go, every red light you pass, every stop, you're just mounting up the charges, and that's more prison time, and you're going to wind up either dead from the crash or you're going to wind up going to prison for years. You might as well stop now. And they generally run for stupid reasons. Oh, well, my license wasn't valid. Yeah, so you get a ticket.
Right.
You pay the ticket and you go home. But they do stupid things. Tell us some of the things you did when you were a police officer on the street. Did you ever run into really bad people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's bad people everywhere, and
how do you handle that?
Nights.
You're not a big person. You're kind of a smaller person.
Yes.
And when you come across a big person, you wait for backup or?
Oh, backup's always encouraged, yes. You should always call for backup. When I worked patrol, especially on night shift.
That's even worse.
Yeah, usually I worked long time on night shift as patrol and then as a supervisor. Usually your backup's not too far behind. And usually 2 cars always get sent to every call. So you're never alone.
You know, I watched the live PD show, and I there's nothing in the world would get me to be a police officer. But when you go up to a car, especially when you pull it over, you have no idea if they have a weapon in that car. You don't know what they're capable of doing. You don't know if they're scared of something. They have drugs in the car.
Correct.
That's another thing I don't understand. They keep all their drugs in the car. Wait, you're keeping your drugs in the car? When you get stopped, don't you think the dog's going to find them? The cop's going to find them. You might just hand them over now. And sometimes it was just one little marijuana cigarette. But that's why they're running, because they got one, and you get a ticket for that or something. It's not that big a deal anymore. Some states you could have it in the car. It doesn't make a difference anymore. But it's got to be a frightening thing to pull over a car and not know.
Oh yeah, every traffic stop is an unknown situation. How it could end up.
Yeah, and you're lucky.
It's very unpredictable these days.
You're lucky. Let's run over some things people can do again for the holidays. Kids are just tuning in, waking up now, and rubbing their eyes and saying, "Gee, I just woke up late." All right, so here's a list of things they can do. You want to read it off the sheet, to make sure. Okay.
So don't leave packages or gifts in your vehicle. Any valuables should be not left in your vehicle. You should lock your vehicle at all times. When ordering online, get the tracking number so you know when the packages get delivered. If not, you know that you can reach out to the company and ask where your thing is, your package is. When you're ordering, see if you can make special delivery requests so it's not left on your front porch or in plain view of the street or wherever. See if you can leave them at your back door or with a neighbor next door, someone who's home, or have them delivered to work. Let's see, where else? Turn on your exterior lights at night. Some have motion. Leave your front porch light on. If you have a surveillance system, make sure that's turned on. If you're not
make sure
at
it's
home,
working. Yeah.
Correct. Shut your curtains so people can't peer in and see all the gifts under your tree.
Or see you walking around naked.
Correct. Correct.
That's another one. Your neighbor's spying on you.
Right. If your dogs bark in the middle of the night, you should probably check that out because they're not barking for no reason. They have a heightened sense of awareness that people don't have. Make sure all your doors and windows are locked at night, first floor and second floor. Don't leave a ladder around your house or in your backyard so people can climb up and climb through those second floor windows, or even in your first floor. You know, some houses, you can't just climb into a window. Like I have a first floor, but you'd need a ladder to climb in the windows. So make sure all your doors and windows are locked. Set your tree lights on a timer, especially if you're out of town. Even your exterior lights, set them on a timer so it doesn't look like the house is abandoned and no one is home. After the holidays, keep any of your empty boxes from your packages.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look, Rosen's got a new TV, new computer. Oh, I know where I'm going tonight.
Right.
And don't post online when you're
Don't
going
post
away.
online, especially before or while you're gone. Maybe when you get back, you can post that you were gone, and that's fine.
Sgt Kristi Wilcox, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
You have an open invitation. Anytime the police department has something going on, and a new program or anything you want to talk about, make sure this is the first place you call, okay? Because we're Racine's hometown radio station, Refreshed. Thank you, Sergeant. It's 6:58 at WRJN. We're talking PBS, public broadcasting, coming up in just a moment at WRJN.